This week, we're reviewing Simogo's The Sailor's Dream. That's spoiler-free with a spoiler segment following. This week on Low Earth Orbit, we review The Sailor's Dream, a new game from Swedish game developer Simogo. They previously created Airwalk and Device 6, which we reviewed on the show last year, and we're big fans of. So Sailor's Dream just came out for iPhone and iPad, and the basic premise is that you sort of travel about through the sea to different islands and come across things like shipwrecks and various abandoned locations, and you kind of explore them sort of in the style of Myst. It's very sort of classic. It's not like full 3D, but you can sort of travel through these different locations, and you can take different paths, and along the way you discover artifacts, and then you can read them, and as you discover these different artifacts, you can piece together a story about a family. And so it's really more of a narrative, but told in this very unique interactive fashion that Simogo is sort of becoming known for now. And I think that's about it, right? Yeah. So with that, Justin, what do you think?
I think in comparison to Myst is pretty spot on. I definitely got that vibe from the game too, especially because some of the artifacts are a bit machine-y in the way that you sort of have to interact with them. And yeah, I would definitely... So I was just reading something the other day about Monument Valley, and they were talking about how there's not really it's more of a interactive art piece than it is more like a game. And I think that that's true of actually a lot of things we've reviewed.
I can think of a few examples.
Like Kentucky Route Zero is probably one of them, and maybe even like Gone Home is almost like one of them. Where it's like it's not really a game in the way that you would classically say a game. It's more of just like an interactive art piece, and they can be very beautiful in that way. And I think this probably falls into the same boat where it's like it's probably a bit of a stretch to call it like a game the way that Myst was a game, but it's gorgeous. I mean, it's cool. The ambiance is really neat. A lot of the sound design is really cool, just like it was in Device 6, and the setting is neat. And yeah, it's really, I don't know, it's cool. I'm excited to explore it, and there's some interesting gimmicks that we can maybe talk about after the spoiler break. But no, I think it's really neat. So I've been enjoying it.
Cool. What do you think, Scott? Particularly as someone who wasn't the biggest fan of Device 6, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Device 6 was interesting. I can see notes of Device 6 here, so their signature style is still present. I would say though that the sort of gameplay is way different than Device 6. Like in Device 6, you definitely had puzzles to solve. And unless I missed something, there are no puzzles whatsoever, which to me is one of the differences from Monument Valley. Is like your way can be blocked, and you'll have to figure out a way through given the resources that you have. And I don't think you're ever blocked from progressing in The Sailor's Dream. I think it's always you're just swiping to go somewhere, and you can spend as much time as you want at any place. But if you just want to tear through, you can just keep swiping forward, and you will eventually get there. It is gorgeous. It's really, really pretty, both like in terms of sound design and music. There's some surprising extended music pieces in there. Some of the music pieces are interactive and visually gorgeous. I mean, I really like the art style. And it is like a really great mood that they set up. I really like the whole, personally, I really like the whole sort of by the sea kind of thing. And it's not entirely spelled out what the nature of your relationship to the character is. Like I interpret it as I'm not that character, but I'm witnessing her experience. And it's not even entirely clear if the experiences described to you are actually occurring or they're sort of metaphors for other things that are happening, which I find actually appealing. And there's a lot of great little touches and things that connect between stories. It's very thoughtfully done, I think is probably the best way to put it. And it really is beautiful. And it feels like something that was like a vision they had, and they really executed on that. And I guess my only hesitation is, well, I guess there's two. One is that I think you have to be of a certain mindset to enjoy this. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they think of mobile games, they're thinking of something that's much more sort of immediate gratification, and you're not going to get that here. This is much more a book that you're experiencing, interactively. The other thing is I really don't know if I beat the game. Like, the game definitely left me with the impression that I did. It didn't seem very long. It just was like maybe an hour and a half. But it kind of hinted like there was more to do. So like I don't really know where I am right now. I finished the game, I thought, and I kind of got dumped back in the place I started the game. So I don't know. We can compare notes maybe after, if we have a spoiler break. So I don't know what's up with that, but no, it's well done. It's really beautiful, and I think it's great.
Cool. Yeah, I also liked it all as well. I mean, I was a huge fan of Device 6. I did like that Device 6 felt a bit more puzzly, and it was kind of a little bit creepier and more clever. And this is a little more charming. I mean, it's disturbing on some levels. I mean, it's not a perfectly like happy story, And I like. I mean, it does draw you in, and piecing in you. It's fun to piece together the pieces of the puzzle of the story as you go along, trying to figure out what happened exactly, and what is real and what is metaphorical, as you're piecing things together. And so I did like that a lot, and the art style beautiful. I love the typography. I love that it uses makes extensive use of Nutraface, which is one of my favorite fonts. Bonus points for that. And the music in a really surprising way. Like, it was more than just a soundtrack. Like, there's this whole like song in a bottle thing that I won't say too much about, but I thought was a little bit like kind of weird, and then like it ended up being really delightful, and I really think it added a lot to the experience.
And there's callbacks to that later. Like, there's different points in the story where that song comes up again.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I've seen I've run across it twice now. Like his initial appearance, and it was foreshadowed, then experienced it, and then there was one more callback to it. So I like that a lot. The parts that are interactive are kind of odd in some of them. Like, it's kind of like really unclear the point of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are just more toys than actually I think they're just there to be amusing and interesting.
Yeah,
not necessarily to like drive the plot necessarily, or maybe more just to like set a mood.
It feels like a museum art installation kind of, right? Like, you can't do it wrong.
Right. Exactly. So, and it's kind of cool. I kind of liked in Device 6 where the things you interacted with had more of a point. Yeah.
Well, and there was confirmation that you had done it right. Yeah. Like, if you got the password right, then you could progress.
Yeah. So I started clicking on a lot of things. Some things they actually react to your clicks or taps, and some things don't. And when they do, it's kind of delightful and cool. But some stuff is just background pieces, and so I don't know. I don't really like when I have to click on like a bunch of things just to see like which one does something.
The hunt the hidden pixel sort of thing. You just like click every single one.
So this definitely suffers from that. But overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm about an hour into it, and it's great. I'm really excited to see where it goes. So do we want to talk about spoilers?
I can think of one I wanted to talk about. If nothing else,
I think I have maybe two. They may not be spoilers at all, depending, I guess, on like how far we all got in the game, or like I don't know.
I can think of one. Yes.
So we'll come back to spoilers after the break. So if you haven't played the game yet, please go out and you can find it on the iTunes store. And if you want to send us feedback, you can send that to us at feedback@lowerearthorbit.fm. You can find us on Twitter at lowerearthshow, and we are on YouTube also at lowerearthshow. Oh, anyway. Okay. On to the spoilers.
Internal monologue.
Okay, spoilers. Justin.
Okay, so on one of the islands, there's like the clock thing. Did you guys go to this island?
I couldn't get it to do anything.
Maybe that's
it shows the current time.
Yeah, there's a few islands where you just kind of walk in and there's like just a thing, and then you can't seem to do anything. So there's the clock, and then there's the record player thing.
The little music box.
Yeah, which plays the song again.
Yeah, the bottle song.
I don't know. There's the island that has like when you swipe to it, but before you go to it, it has actually like 7 little icons above it.
Yeah.
And after you get the song, you get one.
Yeah.
And
I've only got the one.
That was my question too. It seems like there's more you can get.
There must be more.
And I think they're the star signs, right? Isn't that?
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But I think my expectation is that like as you continue to explore and like find more songs inside bottles, you'll get more of those little icons.
That's what I'd hope. So my experience, without spoiling anything specifically, is I went to each of the islands that I encountered. Sometimes I couldn't do anything, like on the clock island. And I've eventually got to one where I got into something that was not an island and swiped through to the end. And then it basically told me it was the end of the game. And I got back to the title screen.
I think you're as far as I am. And I think it's definitely not the end of the game.
Okay. Because I couldn't...
Because I've done that too.
Yeah,
okay.
I did that, and then I kept swiping again, and then there was more,
so we can all just say
you
get in the rowboat, and then you swipe through the little rowboat.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You spoiled it.
No. It's not. I mean, that's really not the point. I mean, the experience of that.
I ended
really
up back.
cool.
I ended up back at the title screen, but
for a different reason.
There was no robot involved.
How did you get there? What did you do?
I like.
I wonder if this is like a path thing.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember what I did to get there.
When you get to sort of the end of an island, you always have to like sort of swipe up through the thing.
So it was up through that, but I ended up basically like, back. Well, I was going right, and then I ended up back up, and then back left of the title screen. So then I swiped right again. I was back at the title screen again.
Well, you can. Yeah, I mean, you can scroll to infinity and end up back at the title screen. But in this case, the rowboat dumps you at the title screen. Like you actually are thrown back there. But you're saying so you started again after that, and you found more stuff.
There's still more stuff to do. I mean, I figured out the clock thing. I mean,
well, okay. So one thing I'll say about this is that it might be that the things that you can do after the title screen, you can also do before getting to the boat.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah. So I think maybe I don't know if we found different things. I think I got to everything because I once it dumped me back to the house and started swiping through, and it's like I didn't see anything new.
No, but I don't know. I mean, I'm wondering if there's like, so I think one of the big gimmicks of the game is that the current time of day, like real world time of day, actually has like real gameplay effects.
Oh my God.
So like the clock island, you have to be there at a particular time. That's why it shows you the real time. It's because you actually have to show up at the island at particular times of day, and like different things will be available to you like on that island. Like,
what do you have where do you get the information? Like I didn't
actually. There's like tiny little hints of it in like if you actually like read all like the little snippets of stuff.
I thought I read all of them.
So one of them, you want me to just tell you like the clue that led me to there, or do you want to try and find it yourself?
I would like to know because I wasn't planning on going back and playing because I thought I'd finished it.
Okay. Do you want to know?
See wants
No.
Okay. Okay.
So can you
whisper in his ear?
That's creepy.
That doesn't make for good TV. Well, no, so I don't know. There's clues. There's clues about like.
Is it okay? How about this? Are the clues in one of the artifacts, or is it
the clues? So you know how when you go through one of the islands and there's sort of like these optional bits where there's like a little like paragraph that you can read.
Yeah,
it's in one of those, and it's sort of it's not like a full blown like go do this, but it's like
I know what you mean now. It tells you like the scene, right? I thought that was throwaway, but that makes sense now.
Yeah, but it's like real. Yeah, it's like real game.
Is it to the minute? Because really,
absolutely.
Okay.
It's to the second.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
So and you can obviously. Not to give away too much, but you can do that like multiple times, right? I mean, So I've only done it the once, but and I assume like with the songs, like I opened the game just now, and there was like another bottle just like floating around out there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tap that like when we finish recording, so I can get another one of these like. So I think that like, I think like one of the really really big gimmicks of the game is that like the real world time of day, like when you play the game, actually does have like real consequences to what you can find there. So.
Interesting. Okay, I don't know if I'm totally behind that because it's like, I feel like that's like being in a raid in World of Warcraft. It's like, I have to go to work right now.
Yeah. I'm of two minds. I mean,
kind of think it's cool, but
yeah, in some ways it is. And in other ways it's not, it's like a Tamagotchi, right? In some ways it's really cool, but when it gets to the point where you have to like clean up your virtual pet's virtual poop, like a lot of the charm kind of comes out of it,
By the way, we have an episode title now.
But it's like we're maybe emulating some of the negative parts of this too.
Well,
like,
it just limits your ability to kind of play, right? Like I'm not going to be like, I mean, that's the whole reason I play video games and not watch TV, right? It's
sure, because you don't have to be there at a particular time. Right. I know. It just so happened that I was playing the game at one of the times. It turned out to be a critical time to like show up to a particular spot, but I was like, I wasn't going to like come back later.
I really feel like in that case, if you arrive at the clock, I don't think it's too much to ask to have the clock somehow indicate
when you should come back,
or just that it's possible to come back at a different time and get different. Because I mean, it's an interactive device, right? So like if you're tapping on it, like something happened or some indication, you know, like, because in case apparently I missed that thing. This is my gone home, right? So like, so I missed some little scrap of something. I thought I read absolutely everything, and actually the thing I should have said.
Well, it sounds like you did read it. It's just that
I didn't see anything that said to the second. I saw something that suggested a time of day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's another one. Maybe we found two different time of day clues.
But the thing I should have said is that it's actually sometimes quite difficult to navigate through, because like one time I exited the level not having seen something.
Oh.
And I did not, and you can't go back after you've been to an island and
Well, you can't?
I've tried.
I went back to one island.
Well, maybe it depends on the thing. What I've seen is once you swipe all the way up and it says let go, once it puts that little star up there, you cannot go back until the game is like restarted. So at least that was my experience. So the one thing I want to say before I completely forget about it is I am not sure, like initially I got the impression that the story was literal. In other words, that like the character actually had these experiences. But then slowly I kind of wrapped my head around the idea that these are kind of constructs of experiences she had, to ways to kind of like deal with them. Like they're kind of metaphors for
the islands are, or
the stories that occur. Like
well, there's a suggestion at one point that one thing that is literal is presented as literal earlier on is then like re-presented later on in a very different way, and which makes it seem like everything else could have been just sort of her imagination's projecting.
Yeah, and it kind of, I mean, to me, it was kind of like when you exit a level and it says like this is the fragments of a memory or something. Like sometimes it'll say something like that, and like it almost feels like it's her process to like move past some things. Like that's what's the let go thing at the end, right? It's like it's describing this way for her to rationalize something that happened. Right. And then she's able to use the flames basically to burn the memory. That's a really common thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was interesting is in one of the scenes, they're describing one of the little scraps of paper. The story is describing the scenario where like a boat was burning on the water, but it said that the mirror reflection of the boat in the bay was not on fire. Yeah. Which to me is like a dream, right? Would do that. It's like you wouldn't see that necessarily. It's rules are different in dreams. So.
And the facts aren't consistent between stories.
Yeah. So it was either, in my mind, it was either that she was like mentally working through things, or that like maybe in a way this is just like one big dream. That's sort of the same way you have dreams that are sort of similar to real life, but they don't always like play by the same rules,
Those are the worst, because sometimes you wake up, you're like, yeah, don't you remember I was telling you about this thing? And you're like, what? And it's like, that might have been in a dream. Man, I don't know. And so, I don't know. Maybe it's just me that has like really, really like totally lame dreams. Sometimes they're really weird and really interesting, and other times they're just like, yeah, I was at work and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, wait, no, I wasn't. Like, oh my God, like, what's going on? I can't escape.
It's like the Stanley Parable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, after that diversion.
But anyway, I was just curious if you guys had that experience too, where it didn't seem like it was abstractions, or like was it?
Yeah, I feel like I can't nail it down. I feel like that's kind of one of the things that's motivating me to like want to play more, is to like try and nail down like exactly what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Because there was like a literal fire in the house, and then there's this like little tiny paper house that's on fire, and it's like, wait a minute, like which was it a real fire? Was there a literal paper fire at the small house? Was one a metaphor for the other?
Yeah.
Like what's going on?
Yeah, there was one of the islands actually, and I don't know if this was her like recollection of it. Maybe that's kind of ties back to the other thing I was talking about. But one of the islands, like there was actually somebody walking on the island. Like you hear him going shh, and like trying to quiet like the dog he had with him or something.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't know if that was like supposed to be an echo of her memory, or like there was somebody actually there. And it wasn't. Oh, sorry.
And there's other points where like, you hear voices talking, like when you're walking through the ship.
And those definitely seem like they're memories, not like real people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assume they were all memories, but maybe they're. I don't know. I mean, like, what is the nature of your, traversing these islands? Like, they do feel like they're metaphorical. Like you're not really visiting.
Especially because you can't see most of them. I mean, it's sort of
that's why it kind of feels like memories, right?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You remember these parts of the house,
right.
but
you don't remember like the stairwell, or you don't remember. Like,
and it's weird too, because the names of the places kind of feel like internal names you would come up with places that you don't know the actual names of,
or there aren't names for.
Yeah, or it's like invisible staircase, or like it feels like fill-in names for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with this time thing now. I guess I'll go back at random time. No, actually, what we should do after we're done recording is you should tell me a specific time to go to it.
Okay.
So Steve doesn't have to hear it.
Okay.
But I'm really curious now. I mean, if you really have to fill out like at that whatever that place is with the 7 slots, But I'm wondering if you're actually supposed, because there's a few places like that where there's definitely like
There's some kind of a progress meter almost.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying to figure out how to progress, but I felt like I was just back at the same place I'd been at.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the time of day thing. I don't know.
I don't know. It could be.
Maybe you're supposed to
Or even
jump
the day
into
of the
actual
week.
water.
Yeah. Whoa.
No. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it's a really weird.
We almost
review.
have to revisit it. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe if anybody else like knows like what's
Yeah.
going on, I mean, we'd maybe appreciate some insight. Although maybe Steve won't want to.
Yeah, after the next episode.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, but I think we were all really positive. Though.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it was
seems
a
really
great
cool.
experience,
It's
yeah.
just very hard to explain.
Yeah, I think I don't think this is a game for everybody. In other words, I think specifically for people that are really expecting like a game.
Totally.
This won't fly. But.
I mean, I think if you like Kentucky Route Zero, you'll like this game. No? Oh, that's right. We have you here.
Wow. I think I like Kentucky Route Zero. I just think that it has, I don't know. I think it was a little bit like missold as like
but it's similar,
the
right?
kind of game that
it's
it
just
was.
it's a narrative. It's
Yeah.
kind of surreal. Like there's really weird elements to it that are like
the parts that I liked about Kentucky Route Zero, I also like about this.
Yeah.
And vice versa. The parts that I like about this are also things that I like about Kentucky Route Zero. I think this is different because I think that like going into it, I think this game is like totally upfront about the fact that it's like not a game.
Yeah.
You know,
Fair
like
enough.
I think that's like basically right there, like on the App Store description page where it's just like an interactive narrative. And you're like, all right,
I've got my interactive narrative
I
hat
know
on.
what I'm getting. Yeah, exactly. That's right. So I don't know. I think that maybe that's part of it too, is that like, I don't know if Kentucky Route Zero's like marketing ever like says this explicitly or not, but I don't know if it kind of got sold to me as like a point and click adventure game. Like it was going to be like,
It felt that way.
it was
yeah.
going to be like The Dig or Monkey Island, or it was going to be that kind of game, or Myst. And that's not what it is. And it's cool for what it is, but that's not what it is.
I wish the Dig would come out again for like, or maybe it has like for like iPad or something. Can you play the
Yeah,
Dig
I don't
anywhere?
know. Well, so you can you heard of Scum VM? It's the
simulator for the
So all those games are written using this engine called Scum, which is I don't know,
The
some
LucasArts
goofy thing
thing,
that LucasArts came up with.
Yeah.
But it's like it was even back in the day, it was a VM. I mean, it was a bytecode that would run, and so like there's modern implementations of the interpreter that you can run on OS 10 or Windows. Or
You seem to find a copy. I think I probably still have a copy of the Dig.
and I think it'll
somewhere.
work. Yeah, I think I'm sure there's some way you can extract the.
Probably on a floppy disk.
Ooh.
well. So
Well, actually, I think Good Old Games will sell you a copy too.
Okay.
I mean, you can pay. But the interpreter, there's probably several open source interpreters for the format, and then you just got to get the resources to play the game. But
Oh, that's cool.
So there's been some pretty big news on like adventure games recently, probably sparked by the thing with Double Fine. So they announced a new King's Quest that they're going to release next year. There is a new game from the people that did Ron Gilbert was one of them. The two guys that worked on Maniac Mansion, I think.
oh, okay,
They announced a Kickstarter project called Thimbleweed Park.
okay,
A brand new game, but it's that old classic style. It's been funded already,
Yeah.
so it's going to happen. They're also doing remaster releases of Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango for like PlayStation 4.
Grim Fandango that'd be cool. That's been on one of my list of games to play. But if they're going to remaster it, I'd rather play the remastered version because as good as the game probably is, like the super old school graphics, I think would be a little bit of a turn off. Yeah,
So I think all those are coming out in this coming year.
nice. Whatever happened to what was the Kickstarter that came out probably a year or more ago by the old Myst team?
It's going to be September 2015.
Yeah, it's still going. They're still
Abduction.
issuing
What was the
updates.
name of it?
Abduction.
Abduction. That's it. So it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
They send out updates and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Kickstarter number like 37 or something by now. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, that'll be that. We haven't really seen much of it. I mean, they talk about the process a little bit,
Sure.
but I don't think there's been much like game art or anything.
They're probably playing it pretty close to the vest, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I
You
think
kind of
it
have
seems like
to with that
half of
kind of-
the point of the game is the mystery, so they can't really give too much away.
Exactly.
You know, they probably can't even publish any concept art because like it'll be showing
Yeah.
you stuff that you're not supposed to see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, is that it?
I think so.
why it's
The patented double thumb scroll.
it's really is surprisingly effective.
Auto scroll.
My cursor was at the top.
This is really funny. Great, we're good. Right.
Clean up your virtual pet's virtual poop.